Hello again, everybody. Welcome back. I have a subject to talk to you about today, and we've spoken a bit about this, but it was what happened to me um, shortly after I found out that my wife was seeing somebody else and that she no longer wanted me in her life. At the time, we lived up in the mountains. We had our own. We owned an apartment in a house, in a building, and yeah, we were making plans, we were doing stuff, but anyway, so um, she came out to me that she was seeing somebody else and that she was in love with this person, and I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about how I reacted to it, um, how I dealt with it, and what happened to me like right after that. Anyway, so she tells me this, and it really just it hurt. It hurt a lot. It threw me into a place very dark, very, very dark. I mean, it was a really hard time for me. It really took away all of my confidence at one shot. Like, I no longer had confidence in what I thought was the most solid thing in the world, which was our marriage. I mean, we had our ups and downs, but I thought, we were going to get through this. We were going to move forward, and and stay together. But she had gone this route with this young guy that worked with her, married, had 4 kids, and yeah. So after the first 2 weeks, I moved out. I moved right next door to us. We were renting a small apartment for a lady that was babysitting for us, that my wife was paying for, for her to. She had a work permit. She was all legal, this kind of stuff. But she really stayed there. She kept her stuff there, but she actually stayed down with her cousin down in town. Because she was, she didn't want to be stuck up there in the mountains, because it was really, you're sort of up there, there's not a lot of people. I mean, there are people around there, but it's not the same thing. But anyway, I moved into there for about a month, and during that month, I had problems sleeping. I was taking, I'd gone to the problem I was having sleeping was that my head was just overwhelmed. I just had so much going on. I was really I was reading books nonstop. I would read anything I get my hands on just to keep my brain occupied, Didn't have any TV. I just read and read and read and read and read, and I got to where I'd go running and that kind of stuff. And then when I was running, my brain was constantly thinking, So it was a very hard time for me. And then I had these neighbors living above me. This was a ground floor studio apartment I lived in, and the neighbors above me, they were divorced, but he would come over after his work at night, and then they would start drinking, and then they would get drunk, and then they would have fights, and then they would have sex, and this went on till like early in the morning sometimes. So I couldn't even sleep. I mean, I was like trying to sleep, So I went to our family doctor, and I got some. I asked him if he could give me some. He knew the situation. I told him the situation. I asked him if he could help me with some kind of medication to help me sleep. So he gave me, I think, about 10 tablets or something like that. Nothing serious, and just out of boredom, I took them out and stuck them inside this little small jar, this little small bottle. But this bottle actually had been sleeping medication in it before. It was just an empty bottle, though, and I was taking, I think, in the very beginning, half of one a day, half of one, but it only kept me asleep for like maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then I'd get awakened by the neighbors upstairs, and then my brain would start going at it. So I was getting no sleep whatsoever. I was in a very bad place also, and so then I'd take a whole one, and well, one night I was on the phone with one of the mothers of one of the scouts, and she was helping me out a little bit through this because she'd been through this already, and she lent me a book to read, and I think it was called the Grass is Always Greener on the Other Side or something like that. It was a really good book, actually, about how to deal with what was going on with me, and you know, I read that real quick, you know, and I remember even some nights I'd be sitting in the living room with the curtains open, and I'd look out and I could see my ex-wife with the dog. She's walking him, but she'd be standing there looking at me from from 50 feet away, you know. So it just was just, it was a hard time, you know. And so I was not in a good place. But anyway, what she was talking to me one night. This lady was one of the Scott mothers, and then I sort of like just sort of I'd taken a tablet before she'd called me, and I fell asleep while we were talking. That's how strong the tablets were. And it was like my last one, I think. It's the last tablet I had, you know. But I fell asleep, and she got all panicky and called the police. Well, she called a friend of ours. She said, "Call the police," and then they came up, and the police broke the door down. I was like sound asleep on the bed, you know, completely knocked out. And they brought me to. They treated like it was attempted suicide, which it wasn't, because I mean, you know, that was on my mind, but that's not how I was going. I mean, with one sleeping pill, anyway. But they also found the bottle, so they thought I'd take it all, like 50 tablets, just like there was a potential. And this was like I said, this was an old bottle. Anyway, they have their reasons why they did what they did, but they brought me to a hospital. And this hospital I went to, I woke up the next morning. I was in this room. And I had no idea where I was at. I was so blind to the world of where I was at. But I remember I was very emotional. You know, it was very, very emotional for me, because suddenly waking up in this place, you didn't know where it was, why you were there. They came in and they talked. They actually brought me to a room and they just explained to me. They asked me all these questions about the bottle, about the pills, all this kind of stuff. And I explained just like I'm telling you now. I mean, I didn't know more than what than what I knew, you know. But they told me they were going to hold them in. Actually, it was a mental hospital, psychological facility, and they put me on a medication that was sort of like I guess a downer or whatever. I don't know what it was, but it would sort of. I was really mellowed out, and I was able to sleep. I was able to just not think about the situation. Although I met some people in there, and I still have a picture, a lady who drew for me. She had given it to me. I still have it. It's on the back of my door in my bathroom. And but she had burnt her house down with all her family and killed them off. She was, I mean, nicest lady too. She was very friendly. But when you find out that about them, you know, it sort of throws you off. And she actually told me, you know, she told me why she was there. You know, I asked her, but I remember that like the second day or the third day, they told me that my wife wanted to come in and talk to the doctors, but she wasn't allowed to talk to them without me being in the room. So she came in, and we were sitting. I think we were sitting. I want to say we were sitting next to each other. I don't remember, but we were sitting in this very small room, the same room that they'd used to ask me all my questions about you know, why I had done what I did or why I was there, this kind of stuff. Which I still had no idea why I was there. I had no idea. I mean, I didn't. Except for that they believed that I'd tried to commit suicide. That's what I'd gathered from that, you know, which wasn't the fact from my side, at least. Like I said, I wouldn't have done it that way. I mean, I would have done it that way. I don't know. I never thought about that, though. You know, I never thought. It just didn't enter my mind doing that, you know. I had considered suicide, honestly, and it's always an option in your brain, you know, but it's not something. But what I've done, though, is I've managed to weigh the situation, and in one hand suicide and everything you're going to lose, but everything on the other hand is everything that you know, why are you here, you know, this kind of stuff. So for me, it's the balance is, you know, suicide, I lose everything, but why I'm here, yeah, you got to continue confronting life, but you know, in that life you have children, potential for future grandchildren, potential love again, you know, and I hope that happens. I hope it does happen. You know, I'd like to meet somebody again, but it's not easy here. It's not easy at all, especially during COVID, this kind of stuff. It wasn't easy in the first place. You know, it's just, I'm not a kind of guy who goes to bars and clubs, this kind of stuff. But anyway, getting back to the point, she had come in and she immediately started telling them that I had been beating her for 20 years and that I was abusing her and all this kind of stuff. And I was completely like just flabbergasted that she would say any of these kind of things about me, you know. I mean, it really just blew my mind, because she had never, I mean, I never did any of that kind of stuff ever to any woman. Actually, I mean, that's just, it's just against everything I was raised. To me, it's just not. I just don't know how to explain it. It's just it's not something that's in my psyche, in my I'm not a confrontational person already. I'm someone who likes to try to find a solution to things, but not physically. And if it has to have become physically, yeah, but not with a little small woman. I can tell you that I did tell them, yeah, there was some violence in our life. She hit me. She's hit me before while I was driving because she was pissed off about something, or she physically got angry at me and hit at me. But I've never ever replied to that violently. I'd pull her into me and hold on to her, or I'd get away from her. But she had done that a few times, and very physically abusive. Then she blamed me for it. So I mean. Let a man hit a woman one time. It's not his fault. It's not her fault. It's his fault. That's for sure. Anytime you go violent, you just got to learn how to not let yourself be pushed that far. But anyway, she goes out saying all these things, and then they question her. So, well, when did you call the police? Do you have any police records? Do you have any proof of this? And of course she didn't have anything, and because there was never anything, and so she left out of there more pissed off than she was. She was trying to protect her situation, is what it turned out, because we were talking one day, and she basically screamed at, because I found out who it was. I knew who the guy was, and she was afraid of that, that I was going to break them up. But she and I, before all this went down, we had a hike up behind our house, and we sat down at the top of the hill with a beautiful view of the Alps, from where we lived. And we sat there, and this was around Easter time, so it was in April. And we sat there. The weather wasn't that great, and she said, she needed to do this. She said that she was in love with him. He said he was in love with her, and that she wanted to do this, And I told her, I said, listen, I've never wanted you to be anything but happy in your life, And if that's what it takes for you to be happy, then then you do what you feel like you have to do, Even though I knew it wasn't going to make me happy. But you do what you have to do, So anyway, and that was not necessarily the end of it, because for the past 10 years, we've been trying, actually for over a year, we've been physically trying to get a divorce, But for 10 years, she always would threaten it or whatever and not go through with it or whatever. And I was like, well, let's get this over with. But now we're just short from one signature now, and hopefully that happens next month, to get this over with, so we can move on with our separate lives. She has someone in her life. I'm happy for her, Like I said, I never had any ill wanting for her, I just wanted her to be happy, and I hope she is. Although she doesn't seem that way, I actually did wish her, every year I wish her happy Mother's Day or happy birthday, and she always answers a little bit like, oh, okay, thanks. And but this year she hasn't replied, so I guess she's still angry at me about something that she did. And that's basically what it is, It's the role I have, But like I said, I don't want her to be unhappy. I want her to be happy. She deserves. She deserves to be, to be happy. Everybody deserves to have happiness in their life. Don't expect someone else to make you happy. Make yourself happy. Learn how to make yourself happy first, and then share that happiness with somebody else. And hopefully, if they're happy, they'll also share their happiness with you. But anyway, the reason why I wanted to talk about this, and this is actually a very serious thing, is that the mental aspect of it. I was in a dark place for a long, long time, and it's still a crackly in my voice because of it. I guess because you feel like you failed at something that was very important to you. I gave up my military career for her. I'd spent 10 years in the Army. I had 10 more to go or whatever before I retired. And in 1996, I left the military to have a life with her. Now, we do have two great children. I love my kids, 21 and 22 years old, excuse me. Nico will be 23 in a few months. And I love them more than anything in the world, and I have a great relationship with my kids. And to me, that's the most important thing, is that relationship with them, and that And no matter what I plan, what I do, if one of them calls me, I break it off just to talk to them. But to me, that's the most important thing. Family is, and I preach and I push family. Family is very important, and to have that family, yeah, it's very important. Anyway, I'm moving in a few days. Hopefully, everything works out. And hopefully I'll be changing this. This won't no longer be my apartment, but I'm moving to a bigger place. Hopefully, I'm just waiting on somebody else to pay me my salary. That's about it. You're always waiting on somebody else. That's why I'm wanting to start my own business, so I don't have to wait on somebody else anymore. I can wait. I can help people to find what they need and to make people, as in selling products, this kind of stuff. I'm not someone who believes in selling something to someone that they don't need. For me, it's about selling someone that they want and they need, they desire, maybe. But anyway, but we'll see how that works out. But when it comes to mental health, hang in there, seek help, find somebody you can talk to, and try to, try to continue breathing, continue living, just struggle through it, but you'll get through it, I promise you. I promise you there is a light at the end of that tunnel, okay? And I'm not talking about the one going to heaven. I'm talking about the one where you can start breathing better. You feel comfortable. I remember in the very beginning, I wanted to go do something. I would think, what can I do? Who do I tell? Because I was so used to talking to her about us, what we were going to do and for the weekend, this kind of stuff, or whatever. And it wasn't there anymore. Suddenly that was gone. So you had to sort of refine yourself a bit. Because I was so used to having someone around me all the time. And sadly, I didn't take the kids with me. I thought that kids need their mother. Kids need a mother and a father, but I thought that I thought that she would do the right thing, and she didn't. For a year, she basically abandoned them, and that really just upset me a lot. And I moved away from her, but close enough for the kids to be able to come see me because they were old enough to take the train, this kind of stuff. But I got my distance from her because she was just making me ill. She was just everything she said and did just made me worse. And I needed to get away from that. I needed to have a second chance. But and I needed to heal a bit. And I knew I should have stayed. If I could do it all over again, I would have asked her to leave, and I would have stayed in the house and kept the kids. And then I'd known that they would have, because I was already, keeping them as much as I could. When they were there, I was, checking their homework. I was cooking for them. I was maintaining things because I'd actually given up my job the year before because it was making me sick. Working with racists, I just could not do that anymore. But anyway, we'll see how it turns out. Everyday life's a new, something new. And they say, and my mother said this to me again, said, when doors close, God opens other doors for you. And so far, there's another door open for me, and I'm looking forward to passing through it to seeing what waits around the next corner. And I'm looking forward to having a little bit of peace in my life, but also, I want to get back back to work again. After this move, get a new apartment, get back to work again, and then hopefully meet somebody again when I have the time for that too, But anyway, listen, and I look forward to seeing my kids hopefully this summer. I saw my son last summer. My daughter, I haven't seen her in more than a year, and I'm looking forward to seeing her too. So, but anyway, listen, I hope you guys have a good afternoon, good evening, and please like and share and comment and subscribe to my channel. And get the word out there. And if any of you have any questions or any comments, please ask them. I'm more willing to listen and try to help you if you're going through something very similar, because you don't have to be alone. I promise you. And I felt so alone. I felt very much alone. But in reality, thank goodness, I have a good friend of mine named Andrew who was there for me. He's a former soldier and a psychologist. And he helped me through this every step of the way for, like you won't believe. He really listened to me and helped me to get through this. And Sadly, he lives in Canada, not here, so I could hang out with him more often. But he's got his own life too, and I'm happy for him. But anyway, listen, I want to thank you guys and hope you have a good evening, and we'll talk again very soon. Good day. Bye.